Welcome to the Brilliant Fertility Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Rose, and this podcast exists to help illuminate the path ahead of you. With expert interviews, clinical pearls, and real client success stories, my intention is to bring you hope for what's possible on this journey and to give you tools and resources to navigate the ups and downs on the road before you. If you find this podcast helpful, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite listening platform. And I have a big request. If you have a minute, can you leave us a 5-star review? And let us know, what did you learn? What did you come away with? Did you leave with that spark of hope? This helps more people like you find the podcast. My mission is to support as many humans as possible on their path to become parent. And by you sharing and subscribing, you're part of that mission too. And I'm so grateful for you for being here. Hello. Oh my goodness. I had such a long list of possibilities of what I wanted to talk about this week. And I mean, there are so many things that we can bring up for fertility. There's so many things we haven't even scratched the surface on the podcast yet. And I myself was starting to feel a little overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, there's so many things. And I don't want to just add to the noise and the confusion and the overwhelm. So I decided to just all right, just take myself out of this for a moment and journal on my day, see what came up. And it came to me because it was oh, duh. So let me backtrack a little bit. I just started a new cohort of the Brilliant Fertility program, and I am so absolutely overjoyed and honored and excited to serve these new members. And when I tell you, I have the most badass, amazing clients, I'm not exaggerating. I think these are the type of people who incite so much inspiration within me. They are educators and scientists and social workers, and some of them are stay-at-home moms, but they're just the strongest, most beautiful souls that you could ever ask to work with. And I mean, I'm humbled, honestly, by getting to be a part of this journey with them. On the flip side of that, I've had several patients and clients this week who have been directly impacted by the things that are happening in the political world because of their work in science, because of their work in public health, because of their work in education. A lot of the executive orders that are coming down are directly impacting their funding, their job security, and there's so much uncertainty. Meanwhile, coming back to our new clients in the Brilliant Fertility program, there's a lot of people who have so much to be grateful for, and they have this want, this yearning for something more, right? And there's a lot of emotions around that. And so the conversation that has been going on over the last few days in our group chat, and then today in our first call, was around duality and this idea that both can be true. I can be really overjoyed about having this new crew to welcome in and support, and I can feel sad and angry and scared about everything that's happening in the world. My clients can feel overjoyed that they ovulated and disappointed that this isn't the cycle that conception happened, and so much more in between. And this idea of duality, for our brains that want black and white, yes or no clarity, duality can come as a little bit of oh, wait a second, both can be true. How do I hold that? And sometimes it's just the awakening to that truth, that both can be true, instead of trying to force oh, well, this sad thing happened, so I'm supposed to just be sad. and not acknowledge the good that's going on in my life. Or vice versa. I see so much happen in the opposite direction as well, where people are like, oh, well, I have this wonderful husband and this great career. Like, I have no reason to be sad. I should just be grateful. And so they're trying to gaslight themselves into constantly feeling positive, and they're ignoring this whole part of themselves that is trying to raise their hand and be like, yeah, but I need acknowledgement too. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be felt and be witnessed. And when we have that duality, when we hold space for the both and, it actually takes a lot of the pressure off. And it's such a human state, right? That we can allow ourselves to just be in that. And even within the allowing ourselves to just be, that is part of the activation of the feminine energy, right? Where we're not trying to push ourselves into some mold, trying to should ourselves into some way of being or doing, when we are allowed to just be. This will open up a lot of pathways for emotional processing as well. So, within this idea of both and, sometimes it is a little challenging to wrap our brains around that. So, what are the tools that I use commonly in practice? You've heard me talk about EFT, emotional freedom technique. I use this for myself on a frequent basis, maybe not daily recently, but weekly, a couple times a week. We use it in the Brilliant Fertility program almost weekly. And it is an acknowledgement. It is a tool that allows you to validate, get curious around, create space for, and process. And EFT tapping has been shown to actually activate different parts of the brain. So when we are in a fear state, when we're in that fight or flight mode, and that amygdala is lighting up, keeping us in fight or flight mode, functional MRI studies have shown that tapping can actually downregulate the activity in the amygdala and upregulate activity in the frontal cortex. So we have tools, and EFT tapping is one of my favorite tools. Being in community is one of my favorite tools, and not just any community, because it's entirely possible to find communities that are bonded over venting and complaining or gossiping, and those are certainly not serving our highest selves. So just being aware of, spaces that might be activating something within you that you don't want to be cultivating, and deciding, what do I want to cultivate? I want to cultivate authenticity and honesty and kindness and compassion, and spaces where people can say, like, well, this is how I really feel, without putting blame on anyone, without, assigning someone who did something wrong and therefore a victim. That gives you a lot more empowerment and be able to create this space for multiple truths to be true. And I think especially now when, we are in this state of uncertainty where we're seeing like these sides play out that are undoubtedly ugly and harmful and hateful. And we're being called to really do things differently. I'm not an economist. I'm not a political science expert, but like, I think if any of us are paying attention, we know that like shit's getting weird. And if you care about reproductive health, if you care about having choices, if you care about humanity, of course, this is just my opinion. And if it's not yours, like, That's okay. We are going to be called to a different level of being. And if we are being called to raise children in this current time, it is going to require a different level of relating to other humans and learning to step into our power in a completely new way that is not about, this masculine, patriarchal, domineering power. It is this fierce, maternal, feminine, wise, compassionate power that is ultimately centered in us being able to be our authentic selves and creating safe, well, truly safety within yourself to be authentic, because there's so much uncertainty occurring around us. There's so much uncertainty on the fertility journey. There's uncertainty when you go to a new doctor's office and you're not sure, what that experience is going to be like, how you're going to advocate for yourself. And when you have really done the inner work to step into your power and create safety within yourself, those events are far likely to rock you off your center. If you're human, you're going to wobble. There's just like undoubtedly, like, no, none of us are perfect. But the people who I look up to, who have built the resilience to continue on during very, very difficult times in life, those are some of the characteristics, some of the features, some of the things that they have done is to cultivate that power and inner safety and authenticity. And that is, if I'm selfish and honest, like, that's part of why I created this podcast, was like as an experiment of using my authentic voice to talk about the experiences I've had in the holistic fertility world. And if we were to, circle back to the duality, there's so many ways that this can take shape on the fertility journey. It could look like a couple celebrating their 10th wedding anniversary and truly being so grateful for each other and continuing to choose each other every single day, while also grieving the fact that they have not had children yet. It can look like having already had a child and being so grateful for them and feeling all of the joy that they bring into your life and this world, and being really frustrated and angry that you haven't been able to have your second child yet, when you yearn for that so much and you've always wanted to give your child a sibling. So there's a lot of different shapes that this can take. And I invite you to be very curious around where duality is asking to be witnessed within you and what that could look like, what a practice might be to start playing with the language around it. Your words are so powerful. How you talk to yourself is so powerful. And when you can bring awareness to this and start acknowledging it, like literally out loud, you might look like a crazy person talking to yourself. I don't care. I welcome it. But just being able to say, I feel this and I feel this. Both can be true. Both are a part of me. Someday, maybe we'll talk about parts integration or internal family systems. That is just that is another fun, juicy conversation that allows the integration of all of these pieces. But in the feeling state, in the sensation state, in the emotional state, it is a very interesting process to acknowledge that duality and to notice if you're really getting down into the nitty gritty somatics about it. And we have an upcoming episode that will be all about somatics, and that's going to be a really good one. That I find, and this is my personal experience, and we'll talk about this more with this particular somatics practitioner. Oh, I'm just really jazzed about this episode. Uh, that I find that when I'm actually going into the somatic sensation of an emotion, um, I do only feel one at a time in the body. So as you get deeper into understanding the emotional processing work and how that allows for this energy to move through you rather than getting stuck in you, there is going to be more nuance to this. So maybe this is like a good introductory call for our somatics conversation, that it is okay to be more than one thing. And you'll find this duality once you reach motherhood too, because I assure you, if you're listening to this podcast, the vast majority of you will become mothers. You will become mothers again if that is your yearning to expand your family. And even as you enter into another chapter in life, there is duality. You are more than just that identity of mother, right? And so you can be mother and you can be you. You can be, needed by this little child, and you can still be, a sensual being with your partner. There are so many ways in which this will play out during the rest of your life that I just hope we can invite this in more, and let me know in the comments on YouTube, in the DMs on Instagram, how this duality presents for you in this moment. And what do you notice in your body? Does it feel lighter now that you can make space for both? Now that you can witness both? How does this open up more possibility for you to be in the both and? Okay, I'm going to go do some processing myself tonight and really be with all of these different parts that are asking to be seen. That sounded kind of dirty. Oh, goodness. Yeah, no, get your mind out of the gutter, you guys. Or maybe it's just my mind. It's really not shocking that I ended up in the world of fertility, given where my mind often goes. But I'm gonna go do some emotional processing, was the summary there, and probably do some journaling and maybe even some of my own tapping. I've done like 3 rounds of tapping with clients today, but it's probably a good idea to do my own too. I am sending you so much love. I am sending you so much light and hope and resilience and courage and any other qualities that you may need to fully be your most powerful and authentic self in this chapter of life. If you got something from this episode, it would mean the world to me. If you could take a minute to pause and leave us a review, give us a rating on iTunes, and let us know what you want to learn about next.